were to look at the market cap of the companies where I sit in their boards, it's about 6 billion. So it means that
all of them combined.
All of them combined. So to mention them, you take SIFA, the big ones. You take East London IDZ. You take CEDA, right?
Yeah.
You take Mpumakapa TV. It's okay, it's not in the billions, it's in the millions, right? The Mpumakapa, there's not a bad turnover business. It's a good,
is it?
It's a good. I think they're doing something right up here, right? And you take all these companies that I'm involved in, their market cap is 6 billion.
Sure.
In Port Elizabeth, and then I attacked it. Wow, you Mabuyanes and the Cyril Ramaphosas of this world. And all Ace Abba even worse. They must go.
We didn't have food. We really came from...
I said, okay. All right.
My first proper check was 21,000.
When was that?
I can't remember now, but it must have been before 2005.
Wow.
It was a lot of money. I remember it was a lot of money.
What did you do with it?
I think I spoiled myself a bit.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but I think I know that feel good moment about it.
Yeah.
But I always wish that I should have framed that check.
Yeah.
But you remember there were no cell phones then, maybe to take a picture, I should have framed it because I always remember it as being almost like the big gig payment. So we started doing that. Then we started doing all conferences. I mean, here we launched what is called the Black Business Summit, which was almost a NAFCOC supported conference. We hosted big names. This is now from 2006. The ICT Summit this year is 16 years, so you can count back how long we've been doing now the formal conferencing. And then we've had many other conferences in between that we did. But last year they were Eastern Cape. And then the last 10 years or so, then we started doing the national stuff. Then we built it from there. So that, starting with doing club events, went into conferencing, and owning conference properties, that led to us creating other businesses.
Wow.
Which now I think we probably have about 4 or 5 extra businesses.
Wow.
Just from that difficult beginning in doing club events. Yeah.
Wow. You mentioned that through the Black Business Summit, you hosted some big names.
Yes.
I've always been interested to know. There are 2 Facebook posts of yours that are really, really interesting that I want us to get into.
Yes.
But I've always been interested to know. In fact, let me go to one of them.
Yes.
Let me go to one of them. This is August 21st.
Yes.
So you said...
This year?
Yes.
Okay.
This is what you posted. Just go there, even if you have a cup of coffee at 50 Rand.
Yes.
You need to have an art of befriending success.
Yes.
Go there in the game farm just for lunch. Just go.
Yes.
Go inside that expensive furniture store and say with a smile that you are just browsing.
Yes.
Go to that expensive perfume department and put that tester on. We need to befriend success so that when it hits your doorstep, you will be familiar with each other.
I still do it. I did it this weekend. I still do it. I did it this weekend. I sat with the guys, we planned a house, we look at the plans. I talk to everything as if the money, the bank has already given it to me.
Wow.
I still do it. Because the principle of life is that you must always begin with the end in mind. Always. Begin with the end in mind. It's one of the big things that Stephen Covey talks about in the 7 Habits.
Of highly effective people.
It's one, always begin with the end in mind. You've got to see. I'll give you simple, I won't mention some publications. I don't read local papers.
But that's sad.
I don't. You know why? The reason is that I needed to read the CEO, what the CEOs I have in my head read. I needed to read what the chairperson of boards in my head read. So I started reading financial mail, buying financial mail. It would have graphs, economic data that I don't even understand. I started buying Business Day. So the more I read about who's buying who and who was building what company and what sort of things were going, I would then take every Sunday, by the way, it's a ritual I've done for years. I plan. Literally.
Plan for the week?
No, what week? New Vision. I scratched it. So if I had 10 points, I cleaned the 10 points, put another vision. Because the vision has to be continuous. You can't stick to one vision these days and say, it's my vision for the year. Because what happens, so you do your vision, so people normally have these things that they do before the new year, the 31st, then they make their wishes.
Resolutions,
right?
yes.
And then we, at a formal level, we make resolutions, right? Then others, they call them goals.
Yes.
So let's say you made a goal in January. In the past, I used to do them January when I'm in Cape Town for holiday. I leave family, I'll go at the beach and do my resolutions for the year or my goals for the year. And then things go wrong in May. What do? It's called Kaizen, the Japanese principle, continuous improvement.
Wow.
I sit and redesign it because in the process, you will learn and read about things you did not know when you made that resolution or goal in January.
Yeah.
So I'm like that. But
That's
also,
powerful.
I mean, if you look now, you know, when they introduced the moleskin books,
I don't know them.
you know, the moleskin books, these are the fancy black skin books that replace the typical Croxley that you find at CNA.
Okay, yeah.
Most guys, they call them the moleskin notepads or books. At home, I've got, one day I'll send a pic, tons of photos. So when Apple introduced the digital notepad with a pen, you must see how many company organograms I've designed.
Wow.
Because I'm continuously planning.
And improving.
There's new things coming. Podcast was not there 5 years ago, the way it is now, right? But I was thinking television, what we do in Bomakapa TV.
Yeah.
They will tell you there now. That's why I brought Loyiso here. I'm saying that's old way of pushing content. Go podcasts. So you've got to continuously improve. But going back to your point about that post, is that always have the end in mind and channel your energies towards that, including the type of friends you have. This is why I don't have many friends. I am very stingy about people who occupy my space, right? Because you become a Joseph. You are a dreamer.
Yeah.
And then people dig holes for you because they don't understand your dream. You know, Kanye West says something very important when he was interviewed by Morgan Peace. I don't really necessarily agree with him, but I don't necessarily disagree with Kanye West. So that's my view on
context.
it.
Yeah.
But he says something very important. So Morgan Peace says to Kanye West, yeah, but you cannot do A, B, C, D, and E. But he says to me, but what have you built?
Oh, yeah.
What have you done?
I watched that.
I'm in the B zone. Where are you at? You can't tell me it can't be done. So certain things you will be pulled down by people by saying, hey, awuqavile ke ngoku. Funa kuviwe ngaye. Uyambona soloko esitya kwi-restaurant ezibhizi kodwa akanamali. Let's ignore them. Just do your thing. So it always works and I do it all the time. You know, Chief, I get on my car, 10 o'clock, I go drive to Pumba for lunch. I see international people there.
Where's Pumba? I don't even know.
Pumba is just down the road on N2. I don't want to give them free ads, but they give me discount. It's just down the road to the way to Makanda. Right?
Okay.
It's a beautiful, one of the beautiful beauties. Maybe I must give Sarapatman value.
Yeah.
That's I get value from them. So it's in Sarapatman. Sarapatman's got best game reserves in the country. So it's one of the game reserves in Sarapatman. So I go there. I was telling someone about the weekend. You get where have you been, Chief, for a 5-course lunch?
5-course lunch.
For 1.3 and plus some games, and I feel like I'm advertising them. But when you go and experience those things, it changes you, right? That's why I don't watch certain channels. I watch Bloomberg. You ask my kids, what does Dad watch? They will tell you. It's a channel with graphs called Bloomberg and CNN. And Business Day TV.
You sound like you're very intentional about conditioning yourself to be a certain way. Like it's a big thing for you. Like you want to consistently condition your mind.
Yes. Yes. Because I'm in a journey where when I retire, I should at least get some of those things where I want to be in place. And I am on the right track. And sometimes I get surprised that and shocked the people that I look up to saw in magazines that now I call them every time. And every now and again we are peers. They call me to say, my child is at school in Grahamstown. Can you organize this? These are people I saw years back in Financial Mail. I mean, some of the big, I don't want to talk about people's names here, some of the names that people look up to who sit in these boards, they're my friends. By the way, one of the posts I said on Facebook, talking about posts on Facebook, I talk about something about being tired in the million zone. I want to talk the billionaires zone.
I saw that.
And people didn't understand me. They thought that I'm going to be the billionaire. I don't want to talk against that. I don't mind that. But my interest was to provide direct business oversight to billions, to companies at billions level. That's what I'm doing now.
Sure.
If you were to look at the market cap of the companies where I sit in their boards, it's about 6 billion. So it means that
all of them combined.
All of them combined. So to mention them, you take SIFA, the big ones. You take East London IDZ. You take CEDA, right?
Yeah.
You take Mpumakapa TV. It's okay. It's not in the billions. It's in the millions, right? The Mpumakapa, there's not a bad turnover business. It's a good.
Is it?
It's a good. I think they're doing something right up here, right? And you take all these companies that I'm involved in. Their market cap is 6 billion.
Sure.
So I sit. Today we were in a panel for a fund manager for SIFA. These are serious financial decision makers. I said, so that's my exposure. So now, if I'm responsible for over $1 billion of some other people's money, I've got to orientate myself to think at that level. I've got to feed myself with data at that level. When I see something of the London School of Economics, I must stop and read it on Facebook. Maybe more than stopping and reading what was the score between Amazulu and Orlando Pirates, or that's where I'm at. So these are things that you must condition yourself all the time. So as I get older, it's also what do I eat? What do I contribute to physically elongate my life?
Yeah.
And one of those things is not going to stupid, risky areas. Like going to a wrong party spot, for an example. I don't, right? And people often say, I'm never available. I make myself not to be available.
Deliberately. This is a very, very important, because to me, it is what makes the person that is, it's the difference between the person that is successful and the person that is not, which is why I want to ask this. The Mr. Motse Mfuleni you were 20 years ago is definitely not who you are today. What are some of the major differences? And I want to couple that question with this. You spoke about the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the book by Stephen R. Covey, one of my favorite books. So there are things that you do. There are habits that are part of your DNA. As I'm speaking to now, I'm picking some of those things up.
Yes.
Like you're deliberate about conditioning yourself. It's a habit. You're deliberate. You're speaking about your intake, what you eat in terms of your health and your physique. That's also a habit. So looking at where you, maybe let me ask you like this, looking at where you were 20 years ago and where you are now, what are these defining habits that have helped you to transition to the person that you are now?
It's spirituality.
Okay.
It's very, very important. Every morning I wake up. I don't want to use these big terms that people use on TikTok, meditate. But I wake up and I collect my thoughts. I do it all the time. Even on the day where I slept with a storm of decisions to deal with, or I knew that something with the ICT Summit went wrong, I do this sort of thing. So I make sure that my mind is in place. I pick always 3 things every day that I must get right. Every day, right? I don't have 20 lists of things to do. I don't operate like that. I work in 3s, 5s, and 7s.
Okay.
I was in a IHUB straight plan the other day. I says, the minute you go to 10 goals, then you lose me. I'm using 2, 3. I just felt that it's nuggets, it's quick wins, it's stuff that you get done, because sometimes you have a long list of things to do, you never get to do them, right? So I always pick 3 things to do in a day, right? And I deliberately choose what I'm going to wear that day.
Okay.
I deliberately choose what I'm going to wear that day.
The night before?
No, in the morning. Wherever I go, anyway, I'm not that smart to choose the night before. You've got people who even hang it. No, me,
Not like that.
I'm that disorganized that in the morning, I think I must put this together.
Okay.
That's how I feel. That's what I want to communicate. Lately, I'm communicating a much more relaxed person look. So you'll seldom see me wearing a formal shoe and stuff like that, because my peers at my age, that's how they dress. The guys I look up to at my age. So I'm deliberate about that sort of thing, right? And I'm deliberate about being accessible to people that I'm in contact with. So in other words, they will tell you here, the minute I walk in that door, everybody in this building knows me. It's Motse, it's him.
Wow.
Hello, how are you? You know, I go with that sort of energy. There's young people who I bump to from the TV channel on the staircase. Hey, who are you? Oh, are you the new one? So how, you know, I deliberate in creating relationship and conversation, meaningful conversations with people. This one I must emphasize why. Because a lot of our people who have excelled or become successful from township environment, and we're at our level, suddenly we think that we cannot talk to people. We're too important, right? But also I'm aware that I'm a role model to even people I don't know.
Yes.
For an example, I went to East London last week to a Vienna Chahana Wi-Fi launch.
Yeah, I saw that.
The guy runs to me. He starts opening his phone. He shows me a collage of my stuff that has been collected.
Wow.
Says, you have been following you for these years. It's good to see you in person. I'm so-and-so from Cape Town. So I'm always aware about that. The people I may meet is someone, they know me, and I must make sure that I reach out some way. So those are things that I deliberately do daily in my life. But in the main, it's how contribute to how I think. I must be in charge of how I think, you know. Tell you one thing, one of my biggest weaknesses is flying.
Okay.
So people always say to me a night before I fly, I'm stressing, I'm sweating, I'm looking for a shot of something to calm my nerves. That is one of the things I deal with at flying level. But if you allow the brain to bring such level of anxiety to you, it can translate into other environments in your daily life of work. You must be in control.
But it's not easy. That's
No, you're correct. No. You're
being
correct.
in control, being in charge is.
Look, it's almost, maybe we must change the language by saying training yourself to do things a particular way, dealing with anxiety of things going wrong, dealing with, for example, with me, the anxiety of being in a tube for many hours.
Really?
My brother, you don't know. You know, I've been at international flight trips and stuff like that. If you ask me now to go with you for free in Holland, I probably would prefer to drive to Joburg. If I can drive to Holland, I would. You know, so you've got those sort of things that and I'm using the flying thing as part of my daily habits that I put on my system in managing the brain in all forms of anxiety that one deals with. When you are at leadership, for example, now, everybody, if you go in our office, are stressing because the ICT Summit is a big project.
Yeah.
I can't walk in there tense.
I saw that actually when I went up. Every phone call that everyone was making was about ICT.
ICT. So they are tense. So I must bring a different energy. So I normally throw jokes. I said, geez, don't be serious. There's life after tomorrow. You know, so those are things I must do deliberately in environments where there's projects. Look, when things go wrong, at boss level, things go wrong, we must sort them. And we do them. And if it means we must chop your head, we'll apologize tomorrow. So those are things that we do. But you must be deliberate about creating a positive energy in the spaces that you are in. So at least somebody can take something. I always remember this. We all come to work from different backgrounds and experiences in the morning. Maybe someone is a child that's not well. My father is not well. My mother's just lost a job. So a bit of that empathetic leadership. I'm big on that.
That's amazing. You just spoke about earlier on. You spoke about that post about being in the room with billionaires. I think something to that effect.
Yes.
I've always been interested to know. So what do? Okay, let's look at at the stage that you're in now.
Yes.
I mean, you just said that you preside over budgets that are in the billions. So what are some of the conversations in those environments that you would not hear, in normal day life? Like what do people there speak about? It's an odd question to ask.
A functioning country is what everybody
Okay.
is really focused on, that we've got to get South Africa working, and we've got to make sure that the benefits that come from the South African economy are shared by many. We've got to bring those who are still behind with us. We've got to understand that what we are doing today will have an impact for the generations behind us. So we've got to leave the country in a much better place, or the area where you are serving in a better place compared to where you were. So it then means that issues around ethical leadership are top on the list. Issues of being big ticket item focused are big, and issues of social transformation are quite big. You don't want to be a corporation that does not look after the environment, that looks after its people, and yet it is economically thriving. I call that corporate kwashiorkor.
Okay.
You've got a big head, but
Yeah.
you've got a thin body. It does not work in any society, because societies will then rebel against such corporations and such governments. So you really want to make sure you bring the people with you. So that's why you must then really focus about economies of our size. What are they doing that we're not doing? What can we learn from each other? That's why conversations like this are important, because I do this conversation fully aware that it's online and I can't reverse it.
Yeah.
So what I say here, it's very, very important, and my children must be able to listen to this. And it was not bad. It says, but why did Dad say that? Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm with
so we've got to really think about the things that we do and the consequences associated with those things. So those are some of the boardroom conversations but in the main, given the context in the country now, it's ethical leadership.
And a lot of people are doing a lot of writing on that at the moment, which is really, really nice. I want us to just listen to something. I took this off your wall as well. This is the last thing I want us to get into from your wall, and I just want you to comment on it.
Yes.
The mistakes we make, we spend everything we make.
Yeah.
The savings rates in America are dismal. People don't save. I don't advocate saving for the long term. I advocate saving for your next investment. One of the things that Robert and I did early on is we called it the 3 piggy banks. And what we did is, this was a time when we had very little money. We had more money going out than was coming in. But we made a rule that with every single dollar that came into our household, we would take 30% off the top before we paid any bills. That money comes in 10% into a savings account, 10% into an investment account, and 10% into a tithing or charity account. And we did that religiously with every single dollar. And it was amazing how fast it built up. And it was amazing how fast you figured out how to pay those bills. When you get into the habit, it's not how much, it's not necessarily you have to put 10%. It's the habit of putting that money aside, because it will grow really, really quickly, and that can be.
I thought that was profound.
I'm telling you, that's powerful. That's what has really saved us during COVID. We remember largely our revenue comes from the business events, businesses, Imbizo events, ICT Summit, as well as the new one that we've set up now during COVID, interesting enough, Imbex, which is the one that was a partner to the PGA Championship that we hosted over the weekend, flighted on SuperSport. Putting money away immediately. I'm telling you now, as we are receiving monies from the ICT Summit now, part of that money is going to 2023, quarter one. That's how deliberate we have. It's going to ICT Summit 2023 projects. So now let's go back and take the context. So the context is that most entrepreneurs, more especially from the townships. We take money. Sometimes painfully, we've waited for too long for us to receive that payment.
Yeah.
And in most cases, we are unofficial sole proprietors. It's a company, but you behave like a sole prop.
Yeah.
So in other words, you don't, like many people still ask me, I have a payday, I get paid like everybody else here, a salary, end of the month. I don't have access to money, you know.
Yeah.
But you mature into that phase.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I was not like that. It came, it paid for my car, it paid for my house. So we did all the things we did wrongly because we did not know.
Yeah.
So as you know, you want to now share the information with guys to say, put something away. You've got a portion of compliance money in the monies you receive. So compliance is a revenue office money in particular. Then you've got monies that deal with compliance of your sector. In some sectors, you must pay health and safety, licenses, depends. So you must deal with your compliance, a portion on your revenue. But don't spend all your money as if you don't have another project coming up. It's cheaper money from you going to the bank to ask for monies to capitalize the projects that you're working on, right? And the other thing I just want to say, now that you've got probably a huge events and communications, people like Apu and them, and younger listening and watching this podcast, is that when you receive money and you do budgets, don't work for service providers.
Okay.
Let me explain that. So you get 1,000 Rand a budget to do an event. You get on the 1,000 Rand, $800 from sponsorship. Maybe the other one, you've put the $200, you put it in from your savings, like the comment video says. And then you take all that money, you spend it in decor, catering, digital, and all of that. And you don't leave something behind. And you're hoping that the door sales performance will give you the yield that you desire. And it does not happen.
Yeah.
And you've made money,
Yeah.
but you've made revenue, but you've run the event at a loss because you did not collect a profit from the event. And most of the guys, they get into trouble. I mean, the people who host great artists, you meet with them, they're battling a week later.
Sure.
Simply because all the revenues they got from corporate partners, they call them sponsors, we call them corporate partners, they've taken that money to beautify the event. So that's why I say you are now living for service providers, right? You're not making the money work for you. It's very, very, very important. You know why? Because they want to get state-of-the-arts signage, draping, right? You know what? When you go to the events, we really enjoy the experience, but we really want to hear the artist. That's why we're here. Just make sure that the sound is good. We enjoy the artist. We may forget about the hashtag that you may have signage that you've made money on, right? And the GoPro stuff that you may have used. Don't spend your money just to look good in the event. The presentation is good. Budget a percentage that stays behind in the business so that you can recapitalize. The other issue I always recommend is that always have an investment account as a business. That's what the video talks about. Take some money up front, put it away for investment. That's what I was saying earlier on. What saved us during COVID was that we have put money away. And we survived it.
On a monthly basis.
On a monthly project basis. Because remember, some companies, they work on projects, right? They don't really work on annuity that gives them income every month, right? So most of the guys are project based. They've done the project, they'll get paid, and then when you paid, put some money away, pay the responsibilities of the project, then reinvest in the other project, so that if you bring partners on board, you don't wait in the panic zone because the other monies are not coming in, right? That's really how you do it. So you've got to set up structures for that in your business, so that those structures are not bank account structures, but are business structures. For an example, we have what many people don't know. You must Google it when you've got time. IMBs or investments.
I've seen it.
So IMBs,
but I was wondering, like, what is this?
No, you will never even hear about it. So that's our equity business.
Okay.
We go to that business to look for money for projects. So
Just explain that.
So
to me,
Imbizo Group. So let's go back to the clip you played.
yeah.
So in business language is royalties.
Okay.
So she calls it tithes. She calls it good cause. We call it royalties. So we work on a project. The project must give the mother company royalties. Remember, using our IP, our intellect, our investment to go sit with Luphumlo and be in the podcasts, because the outcomes of this benefits the business units. But people say, okay, what does this guy do? Let's go check.
Yes,
I would
yes,
like to
yes,
do
yes,
this
yes,
with
yes,
them.
yes,
Are you
yes,
with
yes,
me?
yeah.
So they get the ROI out of this thing. So they must contribute towards the mother company.
And in this context, the mother company
It's the
is
Imbizo Investments.
okay.
So remember, we have Imbizo Investments. So that's a paper business. So that's like an equity business, right? So below it is Imbizo Group. Imbizo Group looks after the operations
Yes.
of the various businesses. And then they've got the individual managers.
What are some of those businesses?
At the bottom,
Yeah.
we've got Imbicom.
Okay.
So Imbicom is the business that focuses on our ICT investment.
Okay.
For an example, we connect some municipalities.
Oh.
We provide office automation for municipalities.
Wow.
We provide cell phone and data contracts for municipalities. So that's what Imbizo does. Imbizo looks at new ICT market investments. So that's what that business does. We own the Vodacom Shop franchise under that business.
Wow.
Next to that is Imbito. Imbito is exactly what that lady was talking about. We made some money from the 2010 World Cup doing events and PR here in Kabeja. We took that money, and when the companies were offloading the 10-seaters and the 15-seaters, remember the car hire companies bought a lot of fleet?
Yes.
They were offloading it. We bought 1 9-seater, right? To start what we knew then as a shuttle business. We got the Radisson Hotel to give us contract. That business now has a 24-seater bus, has 2 15-seaters, has a 9-seater.
You'd never see.
From the World Cup, we transport some restaurant staff. We do staff transport in Koja, right? That's what that
Still
is.
operating today.
Yeah. That one that keeps me a lot of busy. Yeah. Even I check my WhatsApp now, there's probably something about it. You know, they're quite busy. I mean, they transport. Those are the guys I really in our companies I respect. You know, let me tell you why I respect them. Remember restaurants, we transport restaurant staff. Restaurants close at 10.
Yeah.
They drop off at home at different parts of Nelson Mandela Bay. They finish working early hours. They may have a shift at 6 to take guys in a factory. These are guys that really work 24/7. So that's Imbito. That's our transport and hospitality business. So we've given the management of our fleet. We've got some fleet. It's also sits there in terms of licensing, traffic fines, and all those things. It's really managed there. The maintenance of all our cars. They even control that budget.
All
Then
right.
we have Imbizo Events, which is the
Yeah.
parent company. So Imbizo Events does events. There are quite many. I don't want to talk much about it because many people know about that one. Then what we did, ICT Summit was an event that was one of the Imbizo events, but the turnover was too high. At some stage, it was even higher than the business.
Of the ICT Summit alone.
So ICT Summit alone, turnover became higher than the Imbizo events, a business.
Yeah.
So like MultiChoice unbundled, like NASPA's unbundled MultiChoice.
Yeah.
So we unbundled ICT Summit so that it has its own sets of books, it has its own reporting, and it's treated as a separate company. So ICT Summit is not just a company, it's a business. So if you look at our businesses, you see there's listed as it's a business. And then from there, what else do we have? Then we've got Imbex.
If I can just interject, but ICT Summit, as far, and you can correct me here, as far as I know,
Yes.
you only have one annual summit each year, is it not?
No, it's got two.
Two.
It's got two. So it's got the ICT Summit. Then we've got what we call the ICT Summit Roundtable.
Okay.
So that one is almost like a closed meeting of government technocrats, so to speak. Yes, it's a business. So it gets sponsored by corporates who really want to flirt with that audience. Yeah.
So how does a younger Mr. Motse Mfuleni listening to this sort of how does he get into maybe what you are doing now? What would you say to your younger self? Like someone who doesn't necessarily have to go through this 20-year process maybe that you might have gone through. How would you advise a person listening?
Can I give someone listening to this thing a hint? Like, I went to an event before COVID. It was myself, Michelle Brown. They brought some top event people. Michelle Brown, I don't remember. I think we were 3. Or but I mean, those were new guys. They are into venues. And I said to the guys then, this is now 2018. 2018. You must check it on Google, this thing. It was at the roof. What is this place called? At the Rooftop Garden.
Yeah.
I said to them, events in the next coming years are going to be happening in our phones. I said it. I did not even have a clue that COVID is going to be coming, that there's going to be webinars.
I was there. Wasn't APSA?
APSA was yes. You remember that
I
event?
remember.
It was a cold, chilly night.
I remember.
And I said the future is going to be in our phones. This is what I want to your point to the younger Motse. In Nelson Mandela Bay, in the Eastern Cape, there's an opportunity to do a niche conference for people in PR and communications. Do that conference, you will thank me later. Forget about anything else. You've got a database, you've got very strong media houses in the Eastern Cape, you've got very strong PR companies, you've got a very strong Luphumlos who are doing podcasts. You can start a neat conference with 60 or 80 people and some decent sponsorship. Build it, bring awards into it, bring women in PR into it, bring girl child into PR into it, go to school with PR with university into it. You will thank me later.
Guys, did you hear? So you guys can do that.
You will thank me later.
I'm very conscious.
Because what helped us was to niche. There was, in this country, there is no black company doing ICT conferencing.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? In South Africa, the ones that were there were sadly buried by politicians because things went wrong. Don't want to mention names. My legal bank account is not that big, if any. So it's only GovTech, which is one of the best conference put together by CETA on behalf of government, where the majority of black people have a say. Out of that is the ICT Summit. The other conferences, I don't want to advertise them. People know about them in the sector. They do not really have a black voice. As you know, that ICT sector is still white. So we built it. 16 years later, we're hosting another one now. And that conference, like I was saying, it started as a conference. The revenues became bigger than the parent company. We unbundled it. But the last one I must mention that, and I wanted to tell people about this one. This one, we launched it during COVID.
Which one is that?
Imbex.
Imbex
is exhibitions, a business. So what we did, we realized that the events that we do, all of them have an exhibition element to it. So we valued the turnover of the exhibition. So we saw that it was in the millions cap.
Sure.
So we then said exhibitions alone. So you're taking all there. So you take our first campaign of the year is the SMMEs and ICT Summit. We do that in Joburg. We took that. It's got exhibition. That time, then we had the e-learning summit in East London. It has exhibition. The internet summit in Cape Town, it has exhibitions. Then it was the big one, the ICT Summit. So we created a company that is going to be focused in exhibitions because we saw the value. But we then said it must not only do exhibitions, it must do exhibitions and golf, corporate golf. That time, we did not have in mind what we did over the weekend with the PGA, the championship, that we will have access to 5 years rights of the oldest golf tournament in South Africa. Google it, PGA, right? The first PGA championship was last year, right towards the end of COVID, where sports was not allowed, it was few people allowed. Remember the 6 days when the president made an announcement about the numbers for sport, game and stuff like that. A week before that, we launched our first tournament. We launched the tournament we had this year, post-COVID, the numbers doubled. So we used the COVID time to think. I mean, there's other things. We don't want to talk about them now because the younger me is listening. And the younger me now, remember, runs faster than me, is more creative than me. And they may say, whilst I'm thinking about it,
Let me do it.
I may see an invite on Facebook saying there is this thing coming up. I say, didn't I talk about this thing? Let me go to Google and look and listen to this. Yeah, ne?
But there's enough for everyone, is it not?
I don't really think so. maybe what I'm thinking, I don't think so. But we are together. I think the PR one is okay.
But the ladies are going to take that one. I wanted to
And
ask.
I'm going to ask them, but guys, you were the first one.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something I talked about on Facebook that people can't remind me about. You remember I talked to Facebook about the next big thing. I said to them, the next big thing is e-commerce.
When was that?
Pre-COVID. I said, we're really going to be ordering things from home.
But pre-COVID, we're already doing that.
No, let me listen to this now. The point I made then. We're going to be ordering things from home. Food, remember, we're already doing it from when you were staying in Central. Everybody ordered food from home at those years, right? Then it evolved and it became formalized, right? Remember from the taxi cabs?
Yeah.
Yes. Now, then I said to guys, so that jersey of Liverpool that you like, you're going to click, someone is going to bring it to your door. Start buying motorbikes. That's what I was saying to guys. Start buying motorbikes because the e-commerce business itself is too big, right? You're not going to get on the IT element of it. We're not going to get on the distribution element of it. But let's be what's called the fulfillment partner or the last mile partner. Let's get the merchandise or the food from the restaurant or from the factory and then take it to the person, right?
Yeah.
Do you know how many guys bought motorbikes after that post they are renting them?
And they're making money.
They're making money. It's a stressful business, right? And I'm doing a portion of it because we took one of the cars we had here on that was a Mbizo Events car. We put that car is a pool car. It's being used to deliver and transport people. We created something called Imfast. It's a business. We don't talk about it. It's Imbito Fast. From Imbito, the other business, is Imbito Fast. We collect money weekly from that business.
Hey, you've got too many businesses.
When the other one is not doing well in the group context, it will carry others. That's the secret. That's when I've now become to appreciate the principle of not one egg in the basket.
I wanted to ask you my last question on this because this is so important. Legally and in terms of compliance,
Yes.
how do you structure all of these companies? Is it when you say you've got, because people often talk about a group of companies.
Yes.
And the one person would say it's one company that trades as a variety of other companies.
Yes.
The other would say it's maybe one company that owns a whole lot of other legally registered companies.
Yes.
How do you do it?
No. With us, we're doing the right way. It's individually registered legal entities with the trust ownership.
Okay.
So the trust ownership is the Imbizo investments I was talking about. That is the legacy. That's the business that must outlive me. So the trust owns a percentage of all these businesses.
Okay.
Now remember, in this sense, they are not listed, so there are no external shareholders. It's internally owned, right? You've got those that we've set up early before we put the model in place, where I'm still 100% shareholder, but the companies belong to the trust. It's called the NFT, Nozulele Family Trust. That's the one that owns the company. I don't even own the companies. Remember now, the trust in the South African context we registered them when you still had to have minimum of 4 trustees. Now I think it's about 3 legal trustees you can have in your trust. So in my case, we've got individually legal companies.
Yeah.
They report as individual companies for compliance, right? And they've got the ownership of the trust. There's probably 1 or 2 that do not have the ownership of the trust, but we know that they are owned by the trust. In fact, at some stage, I think this was before COVID, we were working on a project of transferring all of them into the trust because that's where they belong. So in other words now, who takes accountability when these companies go wrong, where they default on commitments? The shareholders in the trust take responsibility for those sort of things.
Sure.
So many, that's why I get a salary. So many people think that I'm like the spaza shop business owner. No. I don't own. I just work here, and I get paid by the trust.
Here's another post that you posted. If I were to write that book that you've been saying I must write, Anthony Harvey and Cecil Wood would definitely be in it, including their wives.
Yes.
In life, we meet people for reasons, and they become a huge influence in our lives.
Yes.
My friends and family may know them, but I owe a huge debt of gratitude to them.
Yes.
Not necessarily focusing on Anthony, but I'm sure that there are people that have played a significant role in terms of your business development and your leadership development. Would you name any of those people?
I want to talk about the ones I wrote about because it's white people. It's very, very important because sometimes we create this facade of the wetgevaar and we create this false brand that
every white person is an enemy.
We are radical, we are transformation, we are economy, and white people are enemies. No, Chief, I was supported. Let me just dramatize it to you. The people who paid for my matric dance or party outfit, it's a white Christian family. The people who paid for my Bible school fees, it's white people. In fact, I regret it because they were saying, go study law. Don't leave this theology thing. It's not going to help you. You know, they were even prepared to take me to Rhodes those days because they were largely English-speaking people. Some of them would have been what in the South African context then liberal in approach. So liberals loved Rhodes University more than UPE because UPE was seen with fragrance of Afrikaner. Because remember, I mean, UPE, we all know it was a Broederbond academic institution. So they wanted me to go to Rhodes to go study law. So they paid for it. There's weekends where I didn't have money. Anthony Harvey and Julie, Chief, they bought me roll-on sprays. They bought me socks and techies. I was at Loiso High School then. The guy that linked me with some of my network in the suburbs then was a doctor who used to work at Livingstone Hospital. Dr. Gurinath, his son, used to be a journalist, a very progressive journalist for the Daily Dispatch pre-1994. These are white people that really, groomed me. And I think that, talking about influences, they've really influenced how I see things in life. You know, this thing of sleepovers that our kids do now. We did it in the 90s. And we learn to do certain things a particular way, frame thinking in a particular way. Because white people, we know have always been advantaged in an economic sense. So they were doing other things the right way. You know, all my children grew up in the Grahamstown Arts Festival. It's the white guys who used to take me with their families to go to the Grahamstown Arts Festival to perform at the Fringe, as shows at the festival. So I've got a lot of white people in the Christian community that have played an important role in my life, and I continue to be indebted to them. White people are not allowed to come to the township. We would have a church service, my brother. It would finish late. They would come and drop me off. You know, when you come through Mfuleni Hospital, there used to be barricades during the state of emergency. They would not be allowed to go, but they would insist whether they go through the Dorangins aside or whether they go through the Strondale and be in the township and face the risk. One of them, in fact, Gordon Cowie, was staying in Blue Water Bay. He was going to New Brighton to drop my friend, Phumzile. Phumzile used to stay in Mtimka, you know. He was stoned those days. Gordon Cowie, may his soul rest in peace. He didn't die from the stoning. He got later because he was physically not well. So most of them paid the price of pushing. Again, that influence I talked about earlier on in Christian terms is called ecumenism, contextual theology.
It's called what? Ecumenism.
So you got what's called in theology ecumenism. So meaning the unity of the body of Christ. So whether you're Catholic, Seventh-day Adventist, we are one in the body of Christ. So they didn't really bother whether, remember the people who were very much progressive were Catholics, were Anglicans in the struggle, right? And then you had people who, Methodists, I must never forget Methodists. And then you had people in the charismatic movement, like these guys I'm mentioning, who paid the price. I mean, Anthony Harvey, he was the head of the emergency services. He's the first guy to tell white people to go to pickups in the township.
Sure.
He paid the price for it because it was not allowed from from the provincial government of that time. A policy. Black guys needed to go fetch black people, and white medical emergency staff pick up white people in white areas. These are guys that did that, sort of thing. So I may not talk to them often. I may not see them. We talk a lot on social media now to update each other. These are the guys who helped me when I got married.
Wow.
So I'm forever grateful and understanding the power of being supported by others.
Yeah.
This is why I was saying too, it's important for me when I condition myself in a day to open that door for others in my life. You know, it may be a smile. May not be necessarily a pair of socks. It may be a smile. It may be a how are you, how's your day?
Yeah.
So say, keep it up, my man. You know,
Yeah.
some of the young people here at the TV channel, we talk about books. You know, so it's because others have really helped me, and I'm really big on it. And this one was special because it's white people, and I needed people to know about it.
Yeah. Just two more questions. One would be, you just spoke about books. You're always actually posting, some of your posts, you're always talking about what you are reading.
Yes.
And I think that for me, it's a habit as people that want to grow, that have businesses that we can't neglect.
Yes.
What are some of your favorite books? In fact, let me ask you this way. What are some of the books that you've read that have changed your life and how you do business and how you think as a person?
So I'm going to tell you something very interesting now, and I don't want to be Christian about it. If you were to take the Bible in the New Testament, you know, the Gospels, but Paul's books, man.
Yeah.
Paul's books, man.
The way you're
This
saying
guy,
it.
you know, I can reread Paul's books in the Bible many times. But the book that shaped me earlier on outside of Paul's books is Steve Covey.
Okay.
Those 7 habits of highly effective leaders.
Okay.
That book has really shaped
It's a good
me.
book. Yeah.
It's I think for me it's the book of all time. I've read lots of books in my life. I cannot think of because I
Good
read
to
a lot.
Great?
Yes, that's another good book.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's another book I've read. So I like reading about companies.
Okay.
I like reading about people who've built stuff. I'm now reading about Kos Becker, the story on him, Making Billions. That's what the book is called. I've just been gifted with Elon Musk's book. So I like reading about individuals that have made things. And I read all the time. And you know, I must also make this disclaimer. I don't necessarily finish them.
Yeah.
So sometimes I post these books and people think that, geez, he reads.
Yeah.
I go back to them when I want to go back to them. I mean, I bought a book on Google many years ago. I still go back and read that book.
Bits and pieces here and there.
Bits and pieces. Reading is mood-based as well. You know, my type of reading is, I'm going to a holiday, what sort of a mood? Like now this with golf, I took the book on Elon Musk and I took the book on Kos Becker, you know. I'm reading a book on TikTok for an example.
I saw a picture. TikTok boom.
I'm reading the book on TikTok. It's very, very important. I was quite chuffed the other day when TikTok offered me 110 rands to invite friends. I thought maybe I've got friends. But every time the link asked me to connect my contact list, I decline. So first it was 3 rands they offered.
I saw
So
it.
it's almost like a gamble.
Yeah.
So it's now sitting at 110. So maybe
It's
I must
gonna
wait.
go up.
Maybe I must wait some more. Maybe
gonna go up.
maybe at 5,000, maybe I can give our youngest details.
Yeah, man. Any question that you want to ask?
Not today. I think it was
today.
all clear and informative.
Lovely. Nothing from you. Whilst you're thinking, final question. Thank you so much, Mr. Motse Mfuleni, for sitting down with us. So what keeps you up at night whilst they still thinking there? What keeps you up at night?
It's keeping what we've built.
Okay.
Because it's easy to build, but to keep it and sustain it, it's something else. That really, because I do not have that energy of youth. I'm in my 50s now. I'm no longer in my early 20s where the energy. So that keeps me is I've got to do things right and not to stuff it up. Yeah.
Are your children, are you working them into what you're doing, or are they far from what you're doing? Are they not learning somehow? Practical experience.
Children are passive learners. Okay. I see when I talk to them that they understand fully what I do. I get asked business. Like this weekend, I was driving with my daughter, who was writing a grade 12. She was asking me in fact, apparently she saw that SARS, there was a 52 billion something of tax that's due to SARS that we're not paying. She was asking me about it.
Wow.
So maybe if I was in arts, she was probably asking me about the song I've written. Yeah. So she asked me about this thing. So I think my kids, in their own way, they consume. But, I want them to design a path for themselves.
Yeah, that's nice.
To design a path from them. If they must come, they will come. So I'm not building a business to be led by my children. They are not in my plans. Just to qualify your thinking. My children are not in my plans. I think that I've seen from exactly what you're saying, people build things, they worry them at night. And the best ones are businesses that have been taken over by chairmen and CEOs that are not family members, because they are not entitled to anything. They are here to just make sure the business grows. They get something in their pocket, the business value grows. So that really is big on my head. We had a tough year as a family, as you may know. Yeah. And so a lot of that is more around keeping what we've got, and keeping relationships. Relationships are very, very important, my brother. It's amazing how we interconnected. But pointedly to a question, what keeps me awake at night is make sure that we keep what we've built, intact. Our BMF is asking a question now.
Well, maybe as a parting note, if you could just share the theme of the ICT Summit this year and why someone should go and attend.
Look at my PR team. They want to make sure ICT Summit gets some proper airtime. So the theme this year is digital infrastructure to enable government service delivery. So that's simply more to simplify it. When you go to Home Affairs, they must not say the offline must work.
Yeah.
When you need to go to the municipality to pay for municipality, your data must be intact, whether it's in a server, stored somewhere. When as a citizen, you're wanting to be in this building to connect and inquire about something, it must be there. When you go to hospital, your files must not be lost, your medical file. Yeah. You go to hospitals now. Many people don't know one of the biggest headaches for Department of Health is what's called the medical legal costs. Government pays a lot of money due to loss of medical files, people being given wrong medication, and people suing government millions of rand. It's actually become an industry. We think that the data that's sitting at Livingston, Dorangenza, Frey Hospital, Mthatha Academic should be able to sit in the cloud. But to do that, we must build a digital infrastructure that supports cloud, 5G environment. So that's really what we're looking at. The dates?
22nd to the 24th of November.
Yes, so the 22nd we play golf. and then the 23rd and the 24th is the actual summit. You make me feel like DJs now. You know, when DJs get interviews, they want to say, "Don't want to say, you know, we are, you know, pumping our new city. It's out in the market."
I want to end off by asking you. This is a platform for, when we started this, we wanted to just empower young entrepreneurs and young leaders.
Yes.
For those people that will be watching this, and it's actually not only consumed on YouTube, it's on Apple, it's on all podcast streaming platforms.
Yes.
What would your key message be to young entrepreneurs and young leaders, particularly those that are African?
Just do it. Just do it. You know what I mean? And you don't have to do it. Just do it. Start it. To those who have started it and the business is running, is not doing well, please don't close doors.
Okay.
Even if you are selling to 30 to customers, you only have 3 left, don't close doors. It's more expensive to reopen them.
Even if it's not working?
Hang in there. Cut down the costs. Put away lifestyle. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Believe you me, we're living in a sluggish economy. If your business is niched correctly, it's servicing a particular audience, don't close it. But if you're thinking about starting something, just do it. Just do it.
One last one. People that want to move to Joburg, they don't want to stay in, they think there's more opportunities in Joburg and Cape Town. What's your message to them? Because you doing it, and you...
Eastern Cape in the scheme of things is small. If you can go, build it there, and come back later. If you have to come back, just do it. We must always remember Eastern Cape, my brother, is small in the scheme of things. Real decisions are done in Joburg, Durban, and Cape Town. That's why they call them the Golden Triangle, right? Most of our customers in our conferencing business is not Eastern Cape.
It's out there.
It's Johannesburg. At my age, I'm still thinking Johannesburg semi-relocation.
Really?
So we must never get our people into this khafar of, you know, like in with artists.
Yeah.
No, don't go to Joburg, or there's opportunities here. You maybe move faster there than here. It depends on your sector. But if you want to go to Joburg, you're young, you do not have obligations and liabilities, just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. And that's it. Message from Mr. Motse Mfuleni. Just do it. If you want to go. If you want to start. If you want to, if you're at a risk of closing shop, don't close shop. And that's what you're saying.
Just
don't
persevere.
Persevere. If you want to follow more of what Mr. Motse Mfuleni is doing, Google Imbizo Group.
Yes.
And look out at what it's doing. ICT Summit is when?
22nd to the
Port Elizabeth. And then I attack him back. Wow. Kusen, you. Mabianes and the Cyril Ramaphosas of this world. And all Ace Abba even worse. They must go.
We didn't have food. We really came from...
I said, okay. All right.